Okay.
Hello, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Morning, sir.
Yeah, well done, madam.
You're most welcome, sir.
Thank you
I'm
very
from
much.
LCCI. Okay, good morning, everyone. Good morning, sir. Mr. Olashiri, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
Good morning. Madam Odacha, you're welcome, ma.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
And Mrs. Adenike, can see you all on the platform. Our chairperson is trying to connect to join this platform. So when it's 10 prompt, I think we should just start. Madam Felicia, you're welcome, ma. Mrs. Katamosi, you are welcome, ma. Otuba, okay, here you are.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Can we,
Morning.
ma, can we start off? Hello, can we start? Madam Chairperson, ma. Okay, I think we can start now. We have enough number with us. So once again, I want to say good morning to every one of us. And I thank us, appreciate you all for being present here with us today, despite your busy schedules. I'm Foluke Oloniyo, the head of the Business, Education Services and Training Unit of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the organizers of this event. And I welcome you most warmly on behalf of the Board of BEST, that's the Business Education Services and Training Unit. The acronym for it is BEST. So I welcome you all most heartily to this program, which is the Youth Entrepreneurship Summit for this year, 2021, with the theme Innovation and Business Opportunities in a Changing World. Without wasting our time, I'll go briskly to the introduction of our dignitaries on this platform. We have the president of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mrs. Tokima Bukunje, who is unavoidably absent here today, but ably represented by our dear treasurer of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the MD of Lead Capital, Mr. Abimbola Olashiri, FCE. You are most welcome, sir. We thank you for making time to be here with us, sir.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. And next is the chairperson of the Business Education Services and Training Board, in the person of Mrs. Bamidele Daramola, FCA. You are most welcome, ma'am.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. And thanks for coming to this, for honoring us this morning.
Thank you, ma'am. And to our erudite speakers, I'll start with the keynote speaker in the person of Dr. Diko Umaru-Radi, the Director General of the Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria, Smiden. We thank you so much, sir, for being here and for your prompt response to acceptance of our invitation.
Thank you,
You're
ma'am.
welcome, sir. Yeah. Thank you, sir. And next on our list, another speaker is Mrs. Adenike Adeyemi. We appreciate you.
My pleasure. Good morning, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome. And the next is Mrs. Folusho Gbadamosi, the Chief Executive Officer of Junior Achievement of Nigeria. You're most welcome, ma. We thank you so much for your acceptance of our invitation. Thank you, ma.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. You're welcome. And of course, our own Otuba Akimbo Aki Olugbade is the Managing Director of Kawaii Technologies Limited Chamber of Commerce and Industry. We thank you for your usual support and cooperation, sir. You're most welcome.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
And I can also acknowledge the presence of our able and professional Mrs. Adejoke Odocha. She's the moderator and she's going to facilitate and guide the discussions of today. Mrs. Adejoke Odocha is the founder of Chief Executive Officer of BDS and co-founder of the Bridge Program, the AFARA Initiative. Thanks so much, ma.
It's a pleasure
for
to
your
be
prompt acceptance of our invitation.
It's a pleasure,
You're
madam.
most welcome. So now, thanks so much, man. You're welcome. And of course, now I invite our able honorary treasurer in the person of Mr. Abimbola Olashure to give the president's remark. He's here representing the president. Thank you so much, sir. You have the mic.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning. As earlier explained, my name is Bimbo Olashure. I'll be giving the opening remarks on behalf of the President of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mrs. Tukun Mabogunje. So here goes. Our distinguished keynote speaker, Dr. Diko Umaru-Radi, the Director General, Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria, Smiden. Our distinguished speakers, starting with Mrs. Adenike Adeyemi, the Chief Executive Officer of Faith Foundation, Mrs. Folusho Gbadamosi, the Chief Executive Officer of Junior Achievement Nigeria, our own Otumba Akimbo Akinolubade, who is the Chairman of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce International Power Sector Group and the Managing Director of Kawaii Technologies Limited. Our moderator, Mrs. Adejoke Odocha, founder and Chief Executive Officer of BDS and the co-founder of the Bridge Program, the AFARA Initiative. Our dear chairperson of Business Education Services and Training Best Unit, Mrs. Bamidele Daramola. Our distinguished members and executive and council of Lagos Chamber of Commerce International here present. The Director General of LCCI, Dr. Chinyere Almona. Members of the Board of BEST, our invited guests, distinguished mentors and mentees, gentlemen and ladies of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I am pleased to welcome you all to this year's annual Youth Entrepreneurial Summit with the theme, innovation and business opportunities in a changing world. In today's constantly changing world, particularly with the COVID-19 pandemic, innovation plays an extremely important role within any organization, especially for entrepreneurs. The way we do business across the globe keeps changing by the day. Therefore, entrepreneurs need to adapt and innovate in the face of these changes so as not to flounder. The essence is to increase profitability by making changes to the strategy, structure, technology, and culture of our businesses. While there will always be problems and other bumps along the road, it is imperative that these obstacles are overcome to increase the odds for success. With this theme, the Chamber aims at examining challenges faced by young entrepreneurs within and beyond the borders, and provides platforms such as this to bring together relevant stakeholders to give direction on emerging opportunities and the possible entrepreneurial innovations in today's changing climate. In view of this, the Chamber will continually encourage the youth to embrace entrepreneurship through sensitization program of this nature. The Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry has been giving support to startups through its business mentoring program since 2013, and these entrepreneurs have been contributing immensely to the growth of the GDP of our nation. We also acknowledge the efforts of the state government, as well as the private entities and selected NGOs whose focus have been on entrepreneurial development. We have brought here today seasoned professionals who will delve more into the innovation and business opportunities in today's changing world. I hope that our youth in attendance will learn and be determined to continually explore opportunities and adapt, which is necessary for business sustainability. Thomas Watson once noted, and I quote, "To be successful, you have to have your heart in your business and your business in your heart." Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you all most warmly to this auspicious event. I thank you all for your kind attention. Speech by Mrs. Toki Mabugje, President, Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you so much, sir, for that very brief, beautiful, and well-delivered presidential speech. We thank you, sir, for being available for us. At this juncture, I will quickly hand over to the moderator, Mrs. Adejoke Odocha, who is going to facilitate and guide the discussions of today's event. So, Mrs. Odocha, you have the mic, ma'am.
Good morning, and thank you very much for a very warm welcome. I would like to just speak about how we'll go about the session. My preference, and I would stand to get feedback if this doesn't work, would be to have each speaker speak and then have a few questions. And if the questions are not forthcoming initially, then we can take them as per the agenda at the end of all of the sessions. But the preference will be to have speakers speak first and then ask questions in the chat box, please. So without much ado, I'd like to welcome our esteemed Director General of Smiden. I think it's a very fantastic opportunity to have the person who is charged with stimulating and ensuring, monitoring, coordinating development of SMEs and medium enterprises with us today. We do not take this opportunity for granted at all. So please, we'll ask all participants to listen attentively, get your questions ready. This is not an opportunity that you would get all of the time. And sir, please welcome. And
thank you.
The floor is yours. We look forward to listening to your keynote presentation, sir.
Thank you very much, the moderator. I think, first of all, I would like to thank the Lagos State Chambers of Commerce for inviting me to this very important annual Youth Entrepreneurship Summit. First of all, I would like to thank the President of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce, the DG, the Chairperson, and then I also recognize the keynote speakers also that are here, and the moderator, as well as the participant of this summit. You are all welcome. And unfortunately, I would like just to mention that I have an 11 o'clock flight to catch. And after the presentation of my paper, I think my director, Mr. Monday Evans, will be with you to answer all the questions that may likely come. Sorry for this. First of all, I'm immensely delighted to join you today at the 21st edition of your annual Youth Summit. Small and Medium Development Enterprise Development Agency of Nigeria, Smiden, is related to partner with you as business membership organization in Nigeria in a bid to provide another veritable and robust platform for brainstorming. Once again, on the challenges confronting the macro, small and medium enterprises with the view of propelling credible and sustainable solutions. This summit with the theme Innovation and Business Opportunities in a Changing World is apt, especially now, within the post-COVID-19 era, that the current administration of President Muhammadu Buhari is deliberately addressing all contemporary development issues in MSME subsector toward energizing the subsector for job creation, wealth creation, and poverty alleviation. MSME statistics and challenges. As you already know, MSME are crucial to the economic development of any country. The Small and Medium Development Agency, as you are all aware, conducted a survey as of December 2017, of which 41.5 million MSMEs in Nigeria that employs about 59.6 million persons, representing 76.5% of the national labor force. So it's a very important sector, contributing 49.78% of the nominal GDP and also contributing 7.64% to export. But about 41.4 million of the macro enterprises, 99.80%, those growth in this subsector is directly correlated with the growth in the economy as a whole. And in the level of employment throughout Nigeria, one of the most critical challenges confronting us as a nation is how to ensure that our strong economic performance translates to improvement in the living standard of our citizens and growth in the MSME subsector of the country. MSME subsector provide the platform for increasing global competitiveness of our country and is a key driver towards achieving the objectives of the national vision for job creation, wealth creation, and poverty alleviation. It is my belief that the quickest and the most effective way to impact the average Nigerians, for the Nigerians to achieve the desired economic breakthrough, is to devote time, attention, and resources to growth of MSME subsector. This subsector is legacy that we will leave behind in the future for Nigeria. Most countries across the globe have done this and have achieved tremendous results. In order to ensure seamless development of MSME subsector in Nigeria, especially in the post-COVID era, all the challenges confronting this important sector must be deliberately and consciously addressed. Some of these challenges include weak capacity to adhere both local and international standards, poor access to affordable finance, lack of workspace, poor access to local and regional global markets, weak enabling environment, weak infrastructure, management of business operation, administrative barrier, multiple taxation, among others. Impact of COVID-19 on MSMEs. COVID-19 fundamentally disrupted the global economy in the year 2020, wreaking havoc in some sectors and providing unforeseen windfalls to others. The pandemic also accelerated a sweeping digital transformation as consumers and businesses were forced to do more quickly than before. As in any crisis, opportunities abound for businesses positioned and willing to take advantage of them. MSME have historically relied on a long list of excuses to avoid difficult and expensive transformation. But many now realize that the courage and bold moves are required to move with a fast-changing market to remain successful or even survive. They need to invest the time and mental energy to develop a clear vision of how and where they need to evolve, plans for that change and execute. They must quickly adapt to the massive changes in digital and remote working and consumer behavior. They must pay attention to understanding their customers even better. It behoves on business owners to invest in building stronger relationships that enables them gain competitive advantages. There are several ways the coronavirus pandemic affects the economy, especially MSME on both supply and demand side. On the supply side, companies experience a reduction in the supply of labor as workers are unwell and need to look after their children and other dependents. While schools were closed and movement of people were restricted. Measures to contain the disease by lockdown and quarantines lead to further massive severe drops in capacity utilization. Furthermore, supply chain were interrupted, leading to shortage of parts and immediate goods. On the demand side, a dramatic and sudden loss of demand and revenue on MSME severely affect their ability to function and cause severe liquidity shortage. Furthermore, consumers experience loss of income, fear of contagion, and heightened uncertainty, which in turn reduce speed and consumption. These effects were compounded because workers were laid off, firms were not able to pay salaries. Some sectors such as tourism, transportation were particularly affected, also contributing to reduced business and consumer confidence. More generally, MSME were likely to be more vulnerable to social distancing than other companies. Innovation and MSME. Innovation is a key driver of productivity and long-term growth and can help solve social challenges at the lower possible cost. Innovation in MSME is at the core of inclusive growth strategies. More innovative MSMEs are more productive and can pay better wages and offer better working conditions to their workers, thus helping reduce inequalities. Furthermore, recent development in market and technologies offer new opportunities for MSME to innovate and grow. Digitalization accelerates the diffusion of knowledge and is enabling the emergence of new business models, which may enable firms to scale very quickly, often with few employees, tangible assets, or a geographic footprint. A firm's operating environment and strategic posture affect innovation. Because of this reason, MSME places a greater emphasis on innovation in difficult operating environments, characterized by short product cycle, rapid technological changes, intense rivalry, and innovation allows organizations to better meet consumers' need to stay ahead of competition, capitalize on strategic market opportunities, and align organizational strength with market opportunities. According to study carried out, there are about 8 criteria influencing innovation in MSME. These criteria are, I'll just mention them because of time: financial factor, firm size, institutional factor, technological capacity, consumer preference, economic factor, cultural factor, and learning capability. Entrepreneurship and MSMEs. Entrepreneurship is a process where an individual discovers, evaluates, and exploits opportunities independently. Consistent with this, one sees entrepreneurship as a process involving recognizing opportunities in the environment, mobilizing resources to take advantage of such opportunities in order to provide improved goods and services for customers, and making as a reward for risk-taking. Therefore, entrepreneurship is all about environmental opportunities that are waiting to be tapped. Entrepreneurship can also be explained as a creative process of organizing managing enterprises, and assuming the risks involved in the enterprise. It is a process of creating something new and assuming the risks and rewards. Two major areas of similarities between MSMEs and entrepreneurship exist. The first similarity is that both MSME and entrepreneurship aim towards the same objective. They both have been noted for employment creation, economic growth and economic development and economic transformation. They also play a significant role in socio-political economic transformation of national economies. In addition, they are affected by some factors. This implies that this success or failures is being determined by some set of similar factors. However, both concepts differ considerably in many areas. First and foremost, entrepreneurship is not MSME, and MSME is not entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is a process that leads to creation of MSME, while MSME are just firms or business ventures that are being managed by individual or owner managers at their open call. Therefore, in terms of purpose, entrepreneurs discover, innovate, and establish businesses. They seek for and discover business opportunities and then exploit those opportunities, whereas the MSME owners capitalize on managing their businesses or firms. They hardly engage in looking for business opportunities like the entrepreneurs. Hence, they produce, buy, sell goods and services in addition to this. They also differ in terms of different and special skills used in entrepreneurs and MSME owners. They both seem to possess different and unique skills. For instance, the entrepreneur possesses the skills to discover and innovate, which allow him to always seek for new businesses and ventures, whereas the MSME owners possess the managerial skills that enables them to effectively and properly manage the firm or businesses without much problems. Investment opportunities. Opportunities are occasion for new goods and services, new materials and different kinds of organizations to be sold at a higher price than the production cost. It comes from a dysfunction in a market which can be exploited by an individual who restore market balance. These are business ideas that add value and offer viable solution to problems experienced by potential customers for which they are willing to pay a premium. They are business ideas that have been analyzed and found to be matured at the point of adding value, offering viable solutions to end users. The business opportunities has 4 qualities as follows. Attractive. Opportunity is economically viable in terms of market size, market growth, trends, and profits. Durable. It gives comparative advantage in terms of price and quality. Timely. Timing must be right. Anchor. It must be anchored in product or services which add value to both buyers and sellers. Investment opportunities can be harnessed from a number of sources, such as government agencies and policies, factors of change, survey of raw materials, invention and innovation, spin-off of new ideas, new product or process, research institution, trade magazines, etc., etc. Various investment opportunities abound in Nigerian economy in the following sectors: agriculture and agro-allied industry, being the major employer of labor in Nigeria. Artisans, clothing and textile, mineral resources, hydrological resources, building construction and management, environmental management, tourism, transport, logistics, and others. government support. Before I conclude, it will be pertinent to note that the federal government under the leadership of Muhammadu Buhari has put in place several structures to support MSME during the COVID and post-COVID era. Most importantly, the federal government came up with the National Economic Sustainability Plan, NESP, which is targeted at supporting MSMEs with favorable interest rates, restructuring existing loans, providing payroll support, offering guaranteed take-up of MSME products, several MSME artisan transport workers, and general MSME support grant under this plan through the MSME Survival Fund. Small and Medium Enterprise Development Agency of Nigeria, Smiden, also supported the MSME in area of capacity building, access to finance, access to market, access to equipment, etc. through her various programs, including conditional grant scheme, which aim at formalizing the informal sector, one local government, one product, all of, by providing a moratorium for 1 year for the repayment of the loan, National Business Skills Development Initiative, in which young men and women are trained and equipped, MSME Digital Academy, MSME Digital Market, as well as other apps that were developed by the agency to support the businesses in the COVID era. In conclusion, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, while wishing you a successful summit, I want to assure you that Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria, Smiden, will continue to support and work with you toward achieving the MSME subsector of our dream in the area of job creation, wealth creation, poverty alleviation, and food security. In Smeden, we have a slogan that says, think big and start small. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you all. I wish you a successful summit.
Thank you very much, Dr. Reka. I think that was very insightful. It was interesting to see the breadth of what Smeden is doing. And most interesting, especially, was the distinction you made between entrepreneurship and small and medium-sized businesses, which is not something that automatically comes to mind. So we do appreciate, we know you're mindful of time because of your flight. I'm wondering if you can take a few questions now, or if you would like us to wait till the director comes.
The director is right behind me.
Okay.
Can you just give me 1 minute to send in the link to him so that he can join in?
Okay, we'll do that. We'll do that. I'm thinking that to avoid, since he's going to be on and he's going to be in the rest of the meeting and you have to go off, maybe we go into the next speaker then while he's getting ready, and then we'll take it from there.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. So without much ado, if it's okay, we thank you again, DG. I see the DG is exiting. We wish you safe travels as you head out. I think to ensure that we manage the transition properly, we'll just go into our first speaker, Mrs. Adeyemi. Mrs. Adeyemi, I think it's going to be very interesting for all of us because she has at her core emphasis on development as what she does at work. But more interestingly is Faith Foundation, where she leads, and their mission to enable aspiring and emerging Nigerian entrepreneurs start and grow their businesses. I see that most of our participants are these smart and emerging Nigerian entrepreneurs who are looking to start or grow their businesses. So I think we're going to listen to with rapt attention to Mrs. Adeyemi as she tells us about their initiatives and speaks to us right away. Mrs. Adeyemi, are you there, please?
Yes, I am. Thank you very much. And good morning once again, everyone. Good morning, all protocols duly observed. I wanted to confirm how many minutes I have.
We've scheduled you for 20 minutes.
Okay, great.
Then
Thank you.
we'll take some questions and answers.
Thank you very much. So I have a few slides. I would like to share my screen. I hope everyone can see it.
Yes, we can.
Thank you. So for the next 17 minutes thereabout, I will be speaking and sharing my thoughts around innovation and business opportunities in a changing world. Specifically, I was asked to, I understand that quite a lot of those who are joining in are youth-led businesses. So those who are young, relatively younger people who are leading, who are either starting or who are growing their businesses. And I'm going to be focusing around just what it means to innovate in business and also identifying business opportunities for which one can use the innovation lens to look at, and then also sharing some key points. I'm also going to be using a lot of examples, even from my own personal experience and the work we do at Faith Foundation, and also sharing a few examples even from some of our entrepreneurs that we support. So when I think of innovation in business, because sometimes the words that we use, and we use them, they sound very large and very big, and sometimes it can also be frightening. So what I tried to do was to look at innovation in business, but with a very practical lens to it, and how I would interpret it or attribute it. So when any of us were thinking of innovating within our organizations or within the businesses that we lead or we want to lead, there are 4 pointers that that I found to be very useful to guide our approach to it. The first will be you can't innovate without having knowledge or data or insight, because usually to be able to innovate, you found a problem that you've tried to now address. But that problem should also typically come with some set of information that allows you to now find a path to something that you want to change or a way that you want to change. And that now presents with you a pathway to innovation. So if I give an example, one of the things, so as a number of you do, a lot of what we do, or half of what we do, is really teach aspiring and emerging entrepreneurs. And one of the ways that we found to be very useful in terms of innovating, in terms of our curriculum and our program design, is always looking at just sort of looking at the data of people that come into our programs and what that data and those trends also are telling us over time. So a very simple and obvious example was about 4 or 5 years ago, we noticed that when a lot of people came to our flagship programs that were at the time sector agnostic, 60% of them came from 4 key sectors: agribusiness, creatives, health, and education. And we looked over 2 years and we saw that that was the case. And so that now led to 2 program modifications that we've subsequently made and also have become leading programs. And some of us here were probably doing work around advisory, consulting, guidance for people. And so the first thing I will ask, if you're finding pathways to innovation, is that you also have to look at the data of the people that currently use your products or services, or the people you want to look for your products and services. Do they come from a particular location? Do they come from a particular demographic group? Do they come from a particular region? Are they asking for something in particular repeatedly? Once you have that, that provides you opportunities and insights into potential commonalities in problems that you can see and how you can even design your products and services around it. The second thing for me will be around processes. So one of the things also is about innovation is that it also enables you to put in like standard systems and structures that also help to meet the demand of the marketplace. And if we look at the last 1 year, for instance, where a lot of things, I'm sure if we did this program 2 years ago, we would have done it at the LCCI office in either on the mainland or on the island, but now we're using it digitally. So sometimes there's also a change in the way the market, in the way your customers are demanding some products and services, you know, and that also then means that, you know, for us to innovate, we also have to look at how do we change our processes, how do we change our systems to be able to structure and to adapt to that. So, I mean, we look at Zoom now. I was looking at some of the questions, some of the initial comments where someone was saying, please, can you spotlight? Please, can you spotlight? Most of us didn't know what Spotlight was before then. But now, even for a lot of people that do training programs via Zoom, you almost have to do like a process to also provide some sort of standard and structure around it. So innovation provides an opportunity for you to improve your processes, to standardize your systems, and to sort of provide a pathway that also enables you to address changing customer needs or customer demands in the marketplace. It also enables you with the opportunities to extract value from existing resources and opportunities that you have currently within your businesses, and to say, okay, because a lot of times, a lot of earlier stage entrepreneurs or even small scale businesses, particularly those that are led by young people, you have very limited resources. You have to do so much, but with very, very little. And so using different opportunities or platforms for innovation allows you to extract quite a lot of value, even from your limited resources and what's available to you. And the fourth thing for me when thinking about innovation is that when you're innovating something, it has to be something that over time, particularly for a lot of businesses like us, we don't have R&D units that are focused on innovation or special units to do that. We're often businesses that have maybe 1 to 10 employees, or sometimes we're even the only ones that are running our businesses. So this has to be something that it's easy for you to do, involve in your business and grow and scale over time with that. So if you're thinking around how do you innovate in business, what are the approaches you can use, this for me will be the first sort of like signpost for you to guide you on that. Now, there are different types of innovation when we think about innovating in business and running a business. And I've sort of aligned them into 4 types of innovation. There's a radical one and the disruptive one. Those ones really are major changes. So if you look at the radical ones, completely new ideas that did not exist before are becoming. So if you think of, for instance, the internet, when it came, it really was not there before and all of that. If you think of disruptive, a lot of that is very easy and obvious. So if you think of the Airbnbs and of the Ubers, where they cause changes within their sectors. But I also want to make it practical and also easy, right? Because yes, we want to encourage people to do radical and disruptive innovation, but we also want to give them the opportunities to look for incremental innovation and also take advantages of innovation opportunities that exist, open tools and resources that are available. So if you think of incremental innovation, sometimes it's really just adding existing changes, right, to a product or to a service that already exists. So you're already just providing additional value to that and additional experiences. Or if you think of open one, and there are quite a lot of examples with that, where quite a lot of us are maybe plugging into Facebook or into Instagram. If Facebook and Instagram, for instance, over the last few months have changed the opportunities for you to be able to do a marketplace. So you can list your products, you can list your services, and you can link it directly to payment platforms or systems to use. So you're innovating in your business because people can check a product or service. And WhatsApp is also doing that also lately, where you can put your products, your services, you can put the description, the pictures, you can put the prices. So you're literally almost answering the questions that your target customers have before they need to purchase the product, so that once they make the decision on that, they're making it entirely. So one of the things, for me that I'll encourage is really think of the opportunities for incremental and open innovations. Another example, because some of us are doing businesses that maybe we keep a lot of inventory or we do a lot of services. So one of our entrepreneurs about 3 years ago, she does specialized, she's like a fancy hairdresser. That she will not be happy that let me say hair doctor. So unlike regular hair places where you go to do your hair, she's a hair doctor. She looks at your hair needs, and she provides guidance and advice not just for men, but for women, but even for men, on how you can work with your hair and what you need to do that. And then she realized that part of the challenges, again, going back to data, part of the challenges was that her schedule was getting busy, and her team, she needed to expand her team to about two or three more people. And then her new staff did not understand the experiences she had had. So she had met with me, for instance, in July. She knew the product that she had used for me. She knew what my challenge was. And then as she was growing and scaling her business, the problem she had was now transferring that knowledge so that other people could take it from her. And so we played around one day. We spent a few hours on the internet just looking at open softwares for salons to manage their customers. And she found a free a free software that she uses till date. And so what that does is she puts in the record, she puts in Adenike Adeyemi, she came for a hair treatment in June, she used this product, she used this service, she's due for this in 4 weeks. So that when Adenike comes in August, or when she's calling for a follow-up appointment, or even any of the customer service people look at Adenike's records, because it's a cloud-based software that all her other employees have access to on their phones. They can see what Adenike did, and they can call and they can say, oh, Adenike, your last treatment was in June, you did so and so, you're due for a follow-up treatment with that. So I'm just using a simple example for that. Somebody shared on one of our sector working groups the other day, an inventory management system software for those who have shops, right? So you have shops, you have goods, you have products, you're selling provisions and all the things, and you really just need a way to monitor and manage these things. And honestly, the world we live in, it's a world now for SMEs. It's a world that recognizes that there are a lot of younger people and also upcoming people who are leading businesses and who have an easier adaptation to technology. And it's not just the larger corporates that need CRM tools and all of that. So whatever problem you have in your business, no matter how small it is, somebody somewhere in the world has had that problem. So whether it's in agribusiness, it's in hair, it's in bakery or whatever, one of the things we do in one of our classes, we just say, just go and Google so and so software for your business in whatever space. You'll find so many things that come up and work for you. Sometimes incremental changes is as easy as also making it easy for people to purchase and buy your product. So quite a lot of people, for instance, use Wave accounting app, right? And what that does is that once you demand for a product or service, I as a customer on WhatsApp, you can just send me either on WhatsApp or on my email, you can send me my invoice. It includes your logo, it includes the products or the services I've paid for. It includes the account details to be able to pay for it. Now, those seem like minute things, but it also takes away the challenges the customer has to be saying, okay, what's the product? Can you give me an invoice? Where's your bank account number and all of that? So it solves my own challenge as a customer and improves my customer experience, but it also improves your own business operations, because you have a way. So if you need to look at your financial records at the end of the week or at the end of the month, you can say, okay, all these invoices, these were the orders that were made, these were the amounts and all of that. So again, taking advantage of opportunities that are available for us to work with incremental and open innovation. So in finding opportunities for innovation, how do you find it? I think for me, the 4 guidelines I will give is find things that help to improve your cash flow management. Cash is king, and every less thing that you need to spend money on, or everything that can improve your efficient use of cash and capital is key. So things that help you to improve your cash flow management. Number 2, which probably should be number 1, is that your innovation should always be driven around your customer needs, your tastes, your preferences. Customers don't go now into shops if they require. Even if you think of a lot of our entrepreneurs who are within the fashion space, they've had to find ways of going to meet their clients, because there are not so many opportunities for your customers to shop, right? Even if you're doing custom-made outfits for them. So you have to find out, what do your customers want, right? What is the reality of the environment? How do you get them to stay with you, to continue to stay with you and bring their friends, bring other people, and to also refer you? How do you use data and information to drive that? So innovation that helps you to be centered around the customers and develop your products and services, or improve your products and services, looking at customers is very important. Then, the third thing obviously would also be anything that helps you to have an efficient business model. So your business model really is how you make or lose money as a business or as an operating entity. So any innovation that allows you to expand the opportunities to improve your operating model. Sometimes there's some things you want to do. For instance, you want to add simple things like, okay, providing delivery services for your products and services. And we know the challenges of just even Nigeria and just even things around logistics and delivery. 2 of our entrepreneurs in the last 1 year invested in a logistics business because the kind of businesses that they had, they needed to do a lot of delivery. They needed to get a lot of supplies from their suppliers and also do a lot of deliveries. And they were having quite a lot of disappointments with the logistic people that they worked with. So they invested, and then they invested in buying a logistics business that they could work with. So that's a strategic alliance. Each of them didn't need to set up a business. They invested in a business. The business has its own owner, and that business services their own needs while also servicing others. So looking at how you can also partner with people. I talked also around using the opportunities that digital technology presents. Then last but not the least, again, with the example I use, like with the operations management app, anything that allows you to make effective use of your resources, your people, are there things that even with a phone, your team members can even play multiple roles and responsibilities, but in such a way that it makes their work efficient, and it also allows you as the owner manager of the business to provide effective oversight of that. And I think in rounding up for me, right, number one is that you always have to understand what the customer needs. How many of you do customer surveys? How many of you, so even when you find that customers are really patronizing your product or service, or you've had a customer for the last 1 to 2 years, in, day out, they come to you, don't just be relaxed and say, okay, I have a consistent customer. Ask them. Sometimes you can use a Google Sheet, just do 4 or 5 questions to ask them what you like about our product or service, what is making you come back, or for those that have left, why have you not come back? Is it you found a better product, a better service? Is there something that you feel is lacking in what you do? Is there something that you're seeing in a similar product or service similar to us that we don't offer? Feedback really helps you to get that data so that you can find out where the issues are, and you can find out where the improvements need to be made. Sometimes some of the improvements your customers may be asking for, you may not be able to do it immediately, but at least you have it in your mind and you can plan and invest in it in the future. Saying, observe the use of your customer products and services. One of our entrepreneurs who runs a restaurant in Lekki mentioned how, during the afternoon between like 12 and 2 o'clock, a number of our customers that will come and order soups, okra, edikaikong, all of that. And part of a lot of them were coming from corporate offices, and she created this very nice, fancy, I know most of those type of restaurants have wash and basins, but she located them in such a way where they're very nearby to the tables and all of that to walk around. That she had special beeps or like neck towels that if you're in a shirt and you want to eat your afternoon lunch very well, you can put it up on that. And so a lot of our customer requests also increase because people will come in more for lunch. They know they can have their bar, their pound, their jam and whatever, but you won't stay in their shirts and all of that. And that was because she observed the way they were using, the way they were eating. They didn't want to use fork and knife and all of that. So sometimes you also have to look at how do your customers experience your product? How do they experience your services and all of that? There's some of our entrepreneurs that do shoes. And one of the things that, we've had to share with them is that it's not just about the aesthetics of the shoes. If you have nice shoes and they're not comfortable or convenient for the way your customer or client wants to use it, they'll buy it, but they're probably not going to buy another purchase and all of that. Treat customer complaints constructively. When a customer is upset with something, why are you upset? What don't you like? What did you like? You understand? And find out specifically what the issue is, just beyond that they're mad or they're unhappy. Again, all of us are in industries where other people have also played in. So look also with your competitors or your other peers, find out from them. We have, so one of the great things about the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry is that they have a lot of sector groups, right? So if you're not a member of the LCCI, we encourage you to be part of the LCCI and also take advantage of those sector groups, because then you're within sectors where you're sharing challenges and issues also within your sectors, and you take advantage of them. The other day, we have our own sector group at Faith Foundation, and within the fashion space, somebody requested for a particular labeling machine that they needed, and somebody provided that. And before you know it, about 2 other people had patronized that person's service for that. So again, when you are in communities that are in the sectors and the industries you play in, you can share challenges, but also share resources and opportunities too. And last but not the least, for those of us that employ people, please, our employees are the first hand to provide us insight to opportunities for innovation and understanding where challenges in and where things can also be changed or where things can also be improved. So thank you once again to the LCCI for this invitation, and thank you very much for everyone for your time, and I look forward to the questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Adeyemi. I think that was very insightful. As we go into the question and answer series, I would like to flag off the questions with a question of my own, okay? And it has to do with something you have said earlier on about R&D. And I just wanted to know if we're talking about innovation in a changing world and R&D is not prioritized and it's not on top of the agenda, then can we really be talking about any sort of impactful long-term innovation? Or will we just be looking at minor changes that don't have the sort of impact that we want to push our economy forward and change things in Nigeria? So that's my first question to you, madam.
Okay, so I will answer that question very simply, right? Because if you say R&D, that's research and development. Sorry, my internet is a bit shaky. Research and development. And what that essentially means is that you're studying a group or population that needs something, and then you're applying the insights and the learnings from that to develop, to innovate, to improve, and all of that with it. I think that generally as a society, we've not placed the value to research and innovation as we should. We've not even placed the value to studying the costs and consequences. So the simple thing that I would always encourage our entrepreneurs is that, because when you think of R&D, the first thing they tell you, I'm not a corporate, I'm not a large business, I can't set up an R&D unit. So I don't even try to use that. I just say insight, customer insights, and how are you using that to improve experience? And just don't, everything has a cause and effect, right? So sometimes, even as a person who is making food is always an easy example to use. And people just sort of estimate, oh, I'm spending, I'm going to charge 1K for this plate of food for my customer without looking at all the components that go into it. So when you're thinking, if there's a challenge in your business, take time to sit down with your staff, if you have staff, or even with yourself to sort of walk back to how did this symptom come out? What caused it? You know, what are the different things we could have changed to have adapted it? And then if people are going to another place for something that you're offering, look beyond the surface and to say why it is. I'll give you a very simple example of an innovation, like very simple, you would laugh, right? So one of the things that I used to buy quite a lot then was akara. I like akara, I like moi moi very well. But guess what? It gets to a point where you don't want to be buying akara by the roadside and all of that, right? And then near my house, there's somebody that sells this thing, but guess how she sells it? She sells them not in dirty paper or dirty newspaper or black nylon, which I hate. I hate black plastic bags. She sells them, she just gets A4 sheets, regular A4 sheets, cuts them, staples them. So when they're sending akara to you, they staple just one A4 sheet. You put the akara, so it's like in little pouches. But instead of black plastic bag, they put them in peach and white and pink, whatever. That for me is innovation, because sometimes we always take it very, very high and lofty, right? Simple changes that help to alleviate a customer's known need or a customer's not known need. So I will be very happy by myself to go and walk in there and buy akara than be concerned about hygiene issues and that. But she wouldn't have done that if she hadn't spent a lot of time to ask why certain people in that area were not buying akara. They told her, well, you know, we got sick, you don't know where the newspapers are coming from and all of that. So when we think of R&D, we have to think of it in the basic thing. What is the challenge? What are the opportunities? Who is using this? How do we go and meet them to ask them questions and questions and questions, and then start to sort of, you know, explore opportunities to change little things and see how far that gets you.
Thank you very much. I think that's a very good and detailed answer about how we can start small. We don't have to wait. I will just go into the chat room and the Q&A and read out some of the questions for you. I think we have a question here from Chinyere, and it goes thus: how can small-scale businesses in the community scale up? Ms. Adeyemi, can you just speak a little bit to scaling up, and you know what are the things to be looking out for in doing that?
So in scaling up, there are probably 3 areas that we have a program actually called the Scale Up Lab. And there are 3 areas that we usually talk about scaling up. And we say the 3 C's. So when you're thinking of scaling up, first of all, there's a financial aspect of it, right? Can you improve your cash flow or your funding so that it allows and it helps to improve your growth? And sometimes the cash can be, you're just increasing your products, your services, and then you're getting more and you're acquiring more and all of that. The second is also being able to grow your customer base. Customers should have actually been first. So being able to grow and increase your customer base and capacity, because whether it is from a cash flow perspective, being able to get more sales, or even people that are investing in your business, they want to see the ability of your business to grow and increase either in customer volumes and or in customer orders. So that's an ability, or that's a point out for scaling. Then the third part is capacity, because you can grow in customer demand, you can grow in cash sale, but your operations, your processes, your structures cannot handle that growth. So on the path to scale, you almost have to look at these 3 C's. How can I increase the size of my customers? How can I increase my cash flow? And how can I increase my capacity, my operating structure to be able to take advantage of that scale and grow? So I hope I've answered that. Thank you.
We'll just take about 1 or 2 more questions, and then we will have an opportunity for questions to go again at the end of the session, at the end of all of the sessions. There's a question that I don't think is complete, but I will just raise anyway, and it's about disabilities and inclusion for people with disabilities. I don't know if you can just speak to this point, if there's anything you have to say. Grace is concerned that people with disabilities are being left behind in the SME space. Do you have any thoughts on this that you can share with us, or any experience with people with disabilities being included? Or what?
Yes, I'm happy that this question is asked today. If it was asked yesterday, I wouldn't have been able to answer it. And that's because I had a conversation yesterday evening with someone. There's a project that we're designing, and that question is very right, because part of the things around building an inclusive society is also including people living with disabilities, including gender inclusion and all of that. And the kind of society we live in does not do that. So even if we look at our trainings, for instance, that we do, if you're somebody who has visual impairment, physical disabilities, or any other kind of learning impairment, and you're starting a business, it's hard to adapt. So I would recommend organizations like Project Enable Africa. I'll look for their website and I'll send it to you, because I had a conversation with their founder yesterday, and he was talking around how, whether it's in-person programs or even in terms of digital, so virtual learning programs, they've been able to design their curriculums, their business support, their learning around that. And one of the things we spoke about, because he was even challenging us, that even we needed to be inclusive around encouraging and including people with disabilities within our program. So I would put on the link once I'm done, just the link to Project Enable Africa. So for those who know somebody or who are people living with disabilities and looking for business resources and support specifically for that demographic group, please reach out to them for that, because they do that.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Adeyemi. There's a lot of feedback in the comment section, very positive feedback. Most of the participants are very pleased with your presentation. There's a feedback that has been very insightful as usual. So thank you so much for that. We still have some questions which we'll save for the end. So please, we hope you will still be with us towards the end. We'll just go into the next speaker now and come back to the questions that are outstanding. Amaka is telling me that, yes, she's living with disabilities, and there are other comments which we will address towards the end of the sessions. But thank you very much. We do appreciate you, madam. Without much ado, I would like, go ahead.
Can I make a quick, can I add something to that question about disabilities? There was something recently on LinkedIn about a week ago, and it was about a young gentleman in Lagos who had some issue with his leg. And so he had a walking stick. And he was interviewed by all the top accounting firms, PwC and all, and he was turned away one by one. There was one, I think, if I recall correctly, that even, approved him, like his CV and everything, And once he turned up, the offer was withdrawn. And eventually what happened was KPMG accepted him, as in they were perfectly fine because his job did not require the use of his legs. What I wanted to point out there is it was the persistence, because he kept applying. They'd turn him down and apply to the next one, turn him down, apply to the next one, and turn him down. So I think the message there is like, if you're living with disabilities, you have to persevere a little bit more than everyone else, because unfortunately, and it's changing, we're in an environment where there's still some judgment, negative judgment for people with disabilities. And secondly is, if you're disabled in one area does not mean you're disabled in another. So find the job or the role where you can still be, where you can still contribute and be productive, and pursue it diligently. You will find something, and you will find a company that will take you aboard. So I thought that was worth mentioning.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir, for that. Just before we go into the next speaker, I would like to just state that the sessions are being recorded, because we have a lot of people who are worried that they will miss out on some of the points. They're being recorded. So please rest assured that all of this wonderful information will have access to it again. I think this is a good time to go to our next speaker, who's already started to speak. His name is Otumba Akimbo Akiolubade, who is actively involved in the LCCI. He's the MD of Kawaii Technologies. But what is interesting in our own perspective as young entrepreneurs is that he's been very active in that space, investing in various ventures, which have now grown from smaller endeavors to brands that we know. So Otumba, you're very welcome. Please go ahead, and as usual, we'll give you 20 minutes to speak. You're on mute. You have 20 minutes to speak. And we'll take questions and answers, a few questions and answers, and then at the end, we'll take further questions and answers. So please go ahead, sir.
Good morning, everyone. Am I on? Yes, I think so. I'm going to talk a little bit extemporaneously. I didn't prepare a presentation because I think the impact is usually better when one is speaking about their experiences. For young entrepreneurs and businesses, I think there are different stages, and I think it'd be useful to look at each of those stages one by one. The first stage, of course, is the learning stage. And this, one mistake a lot of people make is they graduate from university or polytechnic or secondary school, and they go straight into starting a business. A lot of the times this is by necessity. For small businesses where you're not doing huge volumes, that's absolutely fine when it's necessity. But an entrepreneur, when you're trying to start a business, you need an experience base. And this is a part a lot of people overlook. It is better, in my opinion, and from my experience, to first work within an industry, to first understand how that industry works in depth, gain experience, learn the mistakes within that industry and for yourself as well. Someone might not be a good salesperson, for instance, and they're trying to go into a majorly sales-oriented role. It's not a good fit. But you learn those sort of things during your first years in the job market, what works for you, what doesn't work for you. And from there, you then start getting the ideas, more concrete ideas about how the business you hope to start, what it will look like and how you're going to go about it. The second stage is starting the business, of course. And this is the stressful part. A lot of people believe that running your own business is easier than working for a company or working for someone else. And most of the time you'll find it's not. Running your business, you typically don't have closing hours. You don't have start times. It's whenever the client wants something, you are there, and you have to make yourself available to the clients. And a lot of the time you don't have staff or employees or partners. Most small businesses, especially in Nigeria, are started by single individuals. And that means all the back office work, the preparation, the documentation, designs, all of that is done by you yourself, in addition to selling, in addition to making whatever the product or service is. And that can be highly stressful, and there's not a lot of support in those early years. But what happens is over time, you start building up a competence in that area, which hopefully your clients start to recognize as time goes on. And you can start charging a little bit higher, or providing a slightly more upskilled type of service, which brings in more money and helps you then hire more people or get more partners on board, depending on the industry. I'd say in my experience, typically you would find for small businesses, you're looking at, and it's sometimes scary for people, you're looking anywhere from 5 to 10 years. There is no overnight formula to success. And I define success in the business sphere as having a business that is generating enough income to keep you going on an ongoing basis. And that will vary from person to person and from place to place, of course. So the third stage, of course, is by the time when your business now is acceptable, you are an industry expert in your chosen area. And this can be anything from being a barber to, selling puff puff to, making oil, groundnut oil, or moi moi, or whatever it is, whatever the business is. The point at which your business, you've gained that experience and you spent enough time in the market to understand your market very well, and your clients also understand you very well, that's the inflection point. And that is the point most companies and most businesses are trying to get to. And unfortunately, that's a statistic worldwide. Most businesses don't get there. Less than 5% of businesses will make it that far. I think we've heard all sorts of numbers. In the first 3 years, 25% of businesses fail out. The next 3 years, another 25% of businesses fail out. And you have to understand that that's also part of the entire economy learning. The businesses that fail out, other businesses learn from the mistakes of those businesses. And so hopefully when you start your business, you are taking on board the failures or learnings from other people who you might have heard of or learned from, who've been in those areas beforehand. What's nice about places like the Lagos Chamber of Commerce is that they give a lot of support to start to businesses that are starting, and that's one factor that I think a lot of people overlook is things like accounting, things like legal, because you're so busy focused on trying to get the business off the ground and up and running, you forget about all those ancillary services, the trainings, the management training, the operations training. And places like LCCI enable you to come and meet other businesses and learn from people who are also having similar experiences and pool resources. For instance, I know Pedabo is running a seminar on accounting for small businesses through the LCCI. And anyone who hasn't registered for that should definitely go ahead, because initiatives like that will help small businesses understand how to better structure their operations, structure their accounts, and serve their customers better going forward. One area I also want to touch on briefly is about how to access your customers. Historically, it was almost one-on-one sales. You would make phone calls, send emails, cold calling, and things like that. But we live in an age now where the technology and the internet makes it very easy, or much easier, should I say, to scale businesses. I think people need to take advantage of these technologies. One of the speakers earlier mentioned things like Wave, which is an accounting application. There are loads of online forums for customer databases, which people can access and utilize. And I think a lot of these things are not very, people are not keen into the opportunities that these provide to small businesses starting or operating in our environment nowadays. Nigeria generally is a bit different in that these sort of forums are not as widely accessible, or we think they're not as widely accessible, but they do exist. And again, using places like the LCCI, you can find access to some of these fora. An example would be with the export group. When businesses on the export group are looking for customers, how do you get the customers who want the agricultural commodities you're trying to sell to scale your business? And I found in the export group, the LCCI, has a huge treasure trove of databases. Which countries are buying, where you can access customers for cashew or cocoa or a whole range of products, agricultural products for sale. So you need to join these institutions and take advantage of what they have to offer to expand your customer base. The last thing I'd really touch on is also the part of business that we like to avoid, which is things like taxation, and levies by government agencies and things of that nature. Yes, Nigeria is a hard environment to do business with on one hand, but on the other hand, for your business to be able to scale and grow, you need to take these sorts of payments on board. They need to be internalized into your business. You can't overlook them because they eventually come back and bite you. And in my case, I think in our early years, we tried to overlook these things, and when they do then come around, it becomes a bigger problem. So right from the beginning, I think if businesses consider the taxes, the VAT payments, and all those sorts of things right from an early stage, I think it's more helpful to business in the long run and causes you fewer problems as you grow and scale. That's my brief overview of businesses and growing a small entrepreneurial business. And as we go along, I'll be happy to answer any questions about our journey over the years. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. It's good to see the synergies between your presentation and Mrs. Adeyemi. I think both of you have spoken about open source, taking advantage of open source technologies, getting understanding of what it is that you're doing, and joining the LCCI. But I think it's also important, a point that is very relevant where we are now in Nigeria, is that there's nothing like overnight success, I think it's very easy to get carried away or to make it the way the media is, the way social media is, as though you start a business today and tomorrow you're very successful. So I appreciate that you made that point, that there's nothing like overnight success, that it does take a journey to get to where you're going, and that the entrepreneurial route is not always one without any kind of challenges, but you just have to persevere. So thank you very much for that, sir. I'll just check if we have any questions. And if we don't, we will take the questions together with the other questions at the end of all of the sessions. I think that may be what we'll do now. That may be the best thing to do because of how we're doing with time. So thank you very much, Otumba Akinolubade. We'll take your questions after the final speaker. So please, I'd like to encourage participants to put their questions in the Q&A section, not in the chat section, because if you put it in the Q&A section, it's easier for us to navigate it, and it will ensure that your questions are answered. However, if it's in the chat box where there are a lot of other comments and not necessarily questions geared at the speaker, we may lose out, and we won't like to do that. So please, put your questions in the Q&A, your questions for Otumba Akinolubade, your questions for Mrs. Adeyemi. And we note that there are questions for Smiden. They're not being ignored. We'll just take all of the questions at the end of the speaker's series. So without much ado, I'd like to welcome our next speaker. Again, we're privileged to have somebody who is in the same space as the other speakers, who is Executive Director at Junior Achievers Nigeria, priority of which is ensuring that our young people they have the necessary and relevant skills to succeed in business, to be entrepreneurially minded, to be financially literate. In addition to that, I think Ms. Gbadamosi has sits on various boards in the private sector and has a key interest in technology and digital innovation, which is extremely relevant to any conversation on innovation. So Mrs. Gbadamosi, we welcome you. Please, the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me. Good morning again, everyone. I hope everybody's doing well. All right, so I'm really quite pleased with all I've heard so far, because it's almost like all of us discussed before we presented today. So what Junior Achievement Nigeria does is that we run programs that empower the Nigerian youth in areas of entrepreneurship, financial literacy, work readiness, and most recently, digital literacy, because of the direction that the world has gone. And what we focus on is letting youth understand that, it's really all about creating opportunities for yourself, problem solving, innovating. So it's not just about coming out of school and always looking for a job, because jobs are not always readily available. In fact, we find that there's not enough jobs for the number of youth that we have in Nigeria. And so we teach them all about how to create opportunities. So today's theme, which is all about innovation, which I absolutely love, I'll just touch on very quickly before I jump into something deeper that I would like to discuss. So innovation really is all about problem solving, whether it's solving a clear problem that you see in your community, in your environment, something that irks you, bothers you, disturbs you, that you feel like, okay, I can actually start an opportunity by solving this problem, or anticipating problems and solving them in advance. Most of the successful innovative businesses are the ones that are really able to anticipate problems and solve them in advance. So as an example, we noticed that during the COVID-19 pandemic, logistics businesses blew up in Nigeria because a lot of people were ordering things online. There was a lot of delivery, and there's still a lot of delivery going on even till now. And I don't think that's ever going to stop. So it's really also about being able to think about what the problems are in your environment, in your community, and figuring out how you can innovate and solve them. So I'm going to jump very quickly into something that I would like to share just regarding, innovation, internet use, and all that good stuff, and also disruption, because I believe that something that entrepreneurs should really be focused on right now is disruption, how to disrupt yourself, disrupt your thinking, because whether we like it or not, the world as we know it has been disrupted. The COVID-19 pandemic has taught us that disruption is the name of the game these days. Okay, so I'm going to share some very quick statistics, and this is just to provide a little bit of context into what I want to talk about. So in 2019, Nigeria was ranked the 7th country with the highest number of internet users in the world. As at Q1 of 2021, which is January, February, March of 2021, Nigeria is now 6th in the world, highest number of internet users. For me, this presents a great opportunity to entrepreneurs. The value of electronic payment transactions in the first quarter of this year was about 65.6 trillion naira. And there has been an 82% year-on-year increase. So what that also shows us is that there's a lot of online payments going on. There's a lot going on online, let's just put it that way, a whole lot. And it's very important as entrepreneurs that we came to that. On a global scale, smartphones are being more widely used for digital transactions. So in the past, people did a lot of digital transactions, using computers, using devices like that. But now we see a lot of that is happening with people's phones. So for a lot of us, our smartphones have become our computers. We use them for everything. So that's also something that we should be thinking about as far as opportunities. And in Q1 2021, smartphones accounted for 69% of retail buys all over the world. So most people are buying with their smartphones. Now, something that's very important for entrepreneurs to understand is that because of the internet, because of just the broken down barriers in the world, from the use of technology, from COVID and all that, a lot of people are ordering things online worldwide. So one thing that I noticed during the pandemic was that there was a lot of shopping going on using social media platforms. If you have all noticed, Instagram now lets you buy directly from Instagram. So this time last year, I don't believe that you could buy directly from Instagram, but now you can. What does that tell you? It tells you that the people that own Instagram see that people are shopping a lot online and want to make life easier for you and also make more money for themselves by letting you buy directly from the platform. In the past, you would have to click and go to the website, blah, blah, blah. Now you can literally, within the platform, click and buy. One of the speakers earlier mentioned WhatsApp as well. I think it was Mrs. Adeyemi. WhatsApp now lets you shop. We now have WhatsApp for Business, which I know a lot of entrepreneurs here are probably already on. The point here is that there's so much going on with the internet. There's so much going on in the digital economy that as entrepreneurs, we really need to key into that. So I'm really just going to be focusing on disruption and technology for the purpose of this presentation. All right, if you take a look at the screen right now, this is just to show us the opportunities, because today I'm all about focusing on the opportunities. So Nigeria is the 6th largest internet user in the world, as you can see from this screen. Now, if you look at that 6th row, I want you to compare the internet users of year 2000 Q4 to now. You have seen a significant growth in the internet usage of Nigerians between 2000 quarter 4 and 2021 quarter 1. What does that tell us? It tells us that there's a lot of opportunities for us to, provide business services, client services, and all that good stuff using the internet. The reason I'm focusing on this is because the ability to anticipate problems, the ability to solve the problems before they even come is extremely important. And for us to look at these numbers and start thinking about ways that the current business that you're currently running can leverage the internet more if you're not already doing so. Because this is not, all about that, I'm going to move on. But this is really just to show you that there's actually a huge opportunity. I know that there's a lot of challenges with doing business in Nigeria. I know there's a lot of environmental factors that cause issues. But guess what? Even with all that, in the past 21 years, look at the internet usage growth in this country. This is also largely because, smartphones have become a lot more affordable. So there's different levels of smartphones and people are, obviously buying them a lot more and using them a lot more for transactions. But the reason they are using them is because the makers of the smartphones and the makers of the platforms that people are buying from have also made it easier. So the question is, how do you make life easier for the people that you are trying to target, for the for your target audience, for your target market? How do you make life easier for them to reach your goods and services? All right, so I'm going to talk very quickly about, just disrupting yourself, because I think it's so important that all of us do that, whether you're in business, whether you're in career, whatever area it is that you're in. And really, I just have 4 key questions for that. The first one is, what value do you bring as a business? So you have to ask yourself, what is your key value? Mrs. Adeyemi spoke earlier about akara, that she loves to buy. I thought that was such a fantastic example, because if you think about it, many people love to buy certain types of food, whether it's akara, it's moi moi, it's soup, all this good stuff. That might be your value. Your value might be that you are providing an easy access to foods that people like to buy. Now, if that is your value, how do you continue to get that into the hands of your clients? So how do you get akara easily into the hands of Mrs. Adeyemi, into the hands of Otumba, into the hands of all those that are currently, in this session? How do you get moi moi to them easily? How do you get rice to them easily? During the pandemic, we noticed that a lot of food businesses sprung up, a whole lot. How many of us here actually spent a lot of time ordering food online? I know that I was one of those people. And what this is showing us is that there's so much opportunity, for instance, in the food services industry. The question for you is, how can you leverage that if, for instance, your interest is in food? And there are so many other industries, that also were able to boom during that period, even with all the different issues that were going on. So once again, how do you disrupt the way that you're currently doing things? And how do you continue to get those products and services into the hands of your clients? Now, the next question is this: what do they really want, right? So what do your customers and clients really want? Are you observing their behavior and trends? There was a question earlier about research and development. I think that came from the moderator. And it's such a great question, because one thing that we don't do enough of is analytics. We don't analyze what our customers want. So your customers, for instance, might want you to be able to deliver to them easily. Your customers, for instance, might want, better packaging. There are so many little things here and there that we have to think about as business owners, as entrepreneurs. What exactly do they really want? And then when you observe that, how do you then leverage that and begin to create a path to that? Once again, using the akara example, she mentioned that akara normally, obviously, like they sell it in the black nylon, but she doesn't like that. Somebody has figured out a way to package the akara, in a neater way, in a better way. This is all part of observing what your customers really want, their trends and their behavior. And obviously this differs, from different social sectors in Nigeria, different parts of the country. But the point is that you have to be observant. You have to disrupt the way that you're currently thinking. If you're currently doing business in a certain way and you haven't taken the time out to really think about what is it that my customers and my clients really, really want. So for instance, logistics companies figured out that, listen, customers want these things gotten to them easily, especially during the pandemic, people were not able to go around as they typically would. And that's why delivery services sprung up, and there's so many logistics businesses now. So you really have to ask yourself that question. The last question here is, do you need to pivot? And what is pivoting, right? So pivoting is essentially you doing one business and based off of what is going on, whether it's in the industry, in your community, going into something else. So an example of that is a hotel like Eco Hotel during the pandemic last year. Started to do laundry delivery services, right? Because obviously people were not staying at hotels during the pandemic. I mean, people were not even traveling. And obviously they already have that facility. So they decided to start doing laundry services, right? So those are some of the examples of things that, people think about based off of what customers and clients want in particular seasons and decide to then begin to do. I mean, we saw companies pivoting into creating hand sanitizers. So companies that already had facilities where they could bottle now started to create sanitizers and so many other things. There are so many examples, you know, of things that people did during the pandemic that made them pivot in really, really, really smart ways. I'm going to post some links when I'm done speaking, just with some articles I've written about some of the businesses that pivoted successfully and the way that they were able to do it. So most of us know about Amazon. You know, Amazon is such a successful business all over the world. Amazon actually started out as a bookstore. All they were selling were books. They were only selling books. And before you knew it, now they're selling every single thing, and they're selling from people all over the world. In fact, if you write a book in Nigeria, you can sell it on Amazon very, very, very easily. You know, they've got a platform where you can upload your book and they will even print it for you and post to people all over the world. Obviously, there's a fee for that. But the point I'm trying to make is that it is from the observation of the trends and behaviors of the consumers and the clients that they have gotten to the point where they are now selling any and everything. So you have to ask yourself these very, very important questions. All right, so I want to quickly talk about, you know, platforms, because I believe that platforms have made life a lot easier for all of us with regards to our selling. You know, platforms like Instagram, Facebook, Amazon, and so on and so forth. So it's really just a business model that creates value by us being able to buy and sell on those mediums. So, you know, whether it's even a WhatsApp, whether it's an Amazon, whether it's a Facebook, whatever platform it is that you're able to do an exchange on, that is a platform. And obviously, this is all about facilitating the meeting of the consumer and the producer, right? So platforms rarely sell things themselves, right? They're just creating a place for you to exchange. So you don't have to create that exchange for yourself. It's like an online marketplace, right? So you don't have to go and create a market. You don't have to go and create a Teju show for yourself. There's already a platform online that allows you to do that exchange. Why this is important for entrepreneurs is that it's important for you to know all the different things that are available to you to be able to sell your goods and services. All right. Now, the third party is the producer, and the platform gets compensated for connecting you, the producer, to your customer and your clients. And we've seen so many people make a lot of money from leveraging these platforms. I mean, I'm sure that if we were to be in a room together and were to ask questions and ask people to raise their hands, so many of us would raise up our hands about things that we purchased online, especially in the last year because of the COVID-19 pandemic. So really, we have to really think about how we can leverage platforms if we're not already doing so in order to get our businesses moving. All right, let me quickly talk about the digital economy as well. So some of these phrases, when we hear them, you know, they sound a bit intimidating, but really the digital economy is just the economy that lets you do economic transactions all over the internet. So every single economic transaction that occurs on the internet is part of the digital economy, right? So even you guys right now are part of the digital economy because a lot of you do transactions online, you are selling your products and services online and all that good stuff. And obviously the backbone of that is the internet. Now, if you think back to my initial slide that spoke about the internet usage in Nigeria and the penetration and the number of people in Nigeria that are using the internet, you realize that the digital economy in Nigeria is extremely large and it's something that if you're not already doing so, you should begin to leverage. All right, so what are some of the benefits of the digital economy? Your products and services are available all over the world, right? So now there's many, many, many ways, and I'm sure that the organization that's in charge of the program today probably has more information of this, how you can actually sell your goods and services all over the world now. I know people who, you know, are selling things to people in different countries thanks to the digital economy and thanks to platforms and thanks to the internet. Second of all is platforms, which I already spoke about. That's a huge benefit of the digital economy. Lets you get your products and services all over Africa, all over the world, and so on and so forth. There's obviously lots of ease of payments and transparency. So we've seen a lot of, you know, payment gateways spring up in the past few years. You know, we've seen the Flutterwaves, the Andelas, and guess what? They've made it a lot easier for people like you and me to sell our products all over the world because they have these gateways where, you know, people can make payments and they'll settle your account, you know, pretty quickly, pretty transparently. I'm sure many of us make use of some of those gateways already. It also provides the ability to work from anywhere. So many of us, you know, nowadays we're running our businesses, we're, you know, doing things from every single location because of the digital economy. You know, you don't have to literally just always be in your office or, you know, be in your shop or be in your store. You can really be anywhere. Even if you're a farmer, you know, you don't always have to physically be in your farm because now you can work from anywhere and you can get your products and services to people all over country, all over the world. It has also provided digital goods and services. Now, digital goods and services is a whole another conversation, because there's so much going on in that space. But we obviously will not have enough time to delve into that today. But there's so many opportunities that, you should definitely research online to see how you can also become a part of that, especially if you are providing a service, not necessarily a product, right? So if you have a service that you provide as an entrepreneur, you really need to get into digital services if you're not already doing so. And obviously there's so many more new careers and new opportunities that have been created as an effect of the digital economy. There's so much more now that existed than 20 years ago, 10 years ago, as far as careers, opportunities, and even businesses. There's so many more business ideas that pop up every single day because of the digital economy. So really, this is all about us, being innovative in the way that we think, looking at our surroundings, looking at our customers, our clients, and figuring out ways that we can serve them better and ways that we can really do what it is that we're doing for them, but in a more efficient way using technology. All right, so that is it from me. I'm going to post the links to the articles in the chat box just so that you can read them, and hopefully, you'll jolt your mind and give you a little bit of inspiration. But remember that no matter what, business you're in or service you're in, what is most important is your customers. And I know that previous speakers had spoken about that as well a lot. You really have to think about what is it that your customers really want. A lot of times it's not just about that particular service that you're providing or that good, it might be something else that they really want, is why they're going through you. So you have to ask yourself all those questions, and you have to be extremely innovative and disrupt the way that you're thinking. Don't forget that with all the issues that we have in Nigeria, there are still a lot of opportunities. The internet usage in Nigeria, those numbers are absolutely, absolutely crazy for me. The way that the numbers increase, based off of even comparing it to the rest of the world, is really, really high. So we have to think about how we can leverage that and leverage all that is currently available to us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mrs. Gbadamosi. Very well presented. I think you've taken what sometimes looks like complex terms, and made it very simple, made it very accessible. And for me personally, knowing that something, sometimes we hear a lot of negative about negative things happening here, but you've made it very clear that there's growth in internet penetration, internet usage. And with that, for us in business, that means there's more people to do business with digitization. There's more people to access wherever they may be. And this is very practical, and this is very real for us as business people. So we really do appreciate your comments. And lastly, I'll just comment on pivoting, and the practical examples you gave to us, that, sometimes you need to move, you need to do something else. And I think more than anything, the times that we're in has shown us that that is reality of life now. You just have to be ready to change, you must be ready to adapt. So thank you very much. I think that we're spot on time to go. Yes, we're 11:35. Thank you very much to our speakers. They've kept the time. They've been extremely informative and also very practical. But I think what will be good for us to do now is to go into the Q&A session. I've again said, please use the Q&A box, not the chat box, for questions, so that we ensure that we see the questions and can answer them, can have the panelists answer them promptly. Before we start, with respect to the recording and with respect to slides availability, please, somebody from the LCCI, Mrs. Oloniyo, would speak to those, and she will answer questions on how we can get the slides, if we can get the slides and the recording. So do note that we've read these questions and they keep recurring, and they will be dealt with directly by LCCI. Grace, I'm not sure we have the facility to put you online to ask your question, but it's being looked at by the tech people. If they're able to allow you to speak, then you can speak, but I'm not 100% certain. If not, please, we ask that you ask your question in the Q&A box, and I promise to read it out as written. Sir, from Smiden, I hope you are there, because we would like to start with you. We didn't get to ask.
Said I can speak now.
Yes, we didn't.
Okay.
Yes, yes, I am.
Yes, yeah, okay, thank you so much. I'm a disability advocate.
Sorry,
and one of the
hold on,
yeah.
Grace, please. Give us 1 minute. We're just checking that our speaker from Smiden was there, and he confirmed that.
Yes, Smiden is still with you.
Oh, fantastic.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Yeah, thank you.
I think there's a lady who is very passionate and has something very important to say to us. I think we mustn't let her wait anymore. Sir, please bear with me. Grace,
Okay.
Grace, we'll take your question first, and then we'll go to the other questions that I'll be reading out. Grace.
Yes, thank you. It's not like I want to ask question, but I just want to comment on what the other man spoke about when you mentioned something on disability and inclusion, that they should try harder. I think that is absolutely wrong. There is a goodwill. I'm calling from London. And there is a goodwill, there is a political will when it comes to disability. There are so many ways one can make sure that people with disability are also part of this program. They are the best innovators. I'm not talking of people that are only blind, because disability is a wide concept and it's fluid. It's a continuum. And one of the things is that there are people with hidden disability as well. But one of the things we have to understand that they are the best innovators. They have a lot of ideas. They are graduates and they're doing fantastic. Because of the lack of unemployment, some of them reverse to doing, they are into micro, and we have some of them in our forum who are doing a lot. But one of the things I want to encourage the organizers of this program is that please, they are human beings. Let the interventions, let the session be inclusive. We have an office in Nigeria, and we also operate here as well. And part of it is that to make sure that any program they are doing are inclusive, because first and foremost, they are human beings. So all of interventions are not inclusive, and there are ways and there are manners which we can do that inclusion. We've trained people on digital, we've trained women, we've trained persons with disability on digital, we've trained them on entrepreneurship. And one of the things is that we last year we actually signed a memorandum or whatever with the Smiden. And part of it is that we have to make sure that 20 millions of people living with disability must not be left behind. That's my contribution.
Thank you very much, madam. I think it's a very important point that you make very passionately. And I think that we all appreciate what you're saying, and I think it's correct. With respect to the other speaker, I don't think he was looking to diminish the importance of the role and intervention of government and other agencies. I would interpret his comment to say that don't give up regardless of whatever is happening, but you are right, that there's supposed to be a role played by government, by agencies such as LCCI and everybody else to ensure equal access to everybody irrespective of disability. That is noted. Thank you very much, madam. I would like to go right into the questions for Smiden, sir. I think the first question that is to Smiden has to do with access.
Okay.
There's a small business owner who says, sorry, 1 second, who they've done some registration, but they haven't gotten any responses from Smiden. I don't know what exactly they had applied for, but apparently there's not been any feedback. So can you just speak to sort of accessibility to whatever opportunities that Smiden has first, while I line up the other questions, and how our members and young people, young entrepreneurs can have access?
Okay, thank you so much. My name is Monday Evans. I'm Director in charge of Enterprise Development and Promotion at Smiden. Of course, my DG has already spoken about some of our programs. Now, the programs we run they're essentially to support small businesses, whether they are startups or they want to scale up or whatever, you know. There are some of them that have access to finance, some of them have access to markets, some have access to equipment and all that. But definitely, I don't know exactly what the person applied for and hasn't got a response, but I wanted to know the specific area so that I can address it specifically. But now I need to talk generally because I don't know the specific area. Of course, there are a few things that we're doing right now that target to benefit small businesses. Of course, number one, we talked about issue of registration. We call it the MSMEs mass registration project, where you log on and then you register your business with us, and then you're given a Smeden unique number. And then with that unique number, we can get to you whenever we need to implement any project and invite you specifically to that project. And other things we're doing too. And of course, there's an issue of our conditional grant scheme for micro enterprises, which my DG mentioned, which is essentially trying to formalize micro enterprises, giving them capacity building, giving them micro insurance, giving them grant of 50,000 naira each, and then of course following up with the business development service. We also have one local government, one product, as the DG also mentioned, which is also a program targeted at organic clusters within each local government across the 774 local governments in Nigeria. Of course, we have done, as of now, about 300 and between 300 and 400 local governments in Nigeria, and we're still working. Of course, what we do in each local government is to target an organic cluster capacity building, workspace provision, equipment provision, BDS, and also we'll give them, say, 100% of the working capital. I mean, they retain 30% of the working capital and pay back 70%. So the 30% is also there as a grant to support them. We have other programs we are running also. One of them, as the DG mentioned, is called the National Business Skills Development Initiative, which is a program we are running all through the country this year. Of course, we just started about 2 weeks ago from the Northwest state. Of course, it was launched officially in Sokoto State. So we did Sokoto State, Jigawa State, Kano, Kaduna, Zamfara, and the 7 northern northwestern states. Of course, what we do in this program is to do entrepreneurship training, capacity building, also do recruitment in targeted skill areas. For instance, some of these skill areas are in GSM repairs, they are in fashion and hairdressing, they are tailoring, they are fabrication, leather works, and so on and so forth. So we not only do training, but we make sure that we provide equipment to make sure that entrepreneurs can now work on their business and even scale their business as the case may be. We also have a component of access to finance. It's a matching fund program between Smiden and the Bank of Agriculture, where we provide 50% of the fund, and then Bank of Industry provide 50% of the fund. Because we provided the fund, the interest rate, we don't charge interest rate. So the average interest rate is about 4 or 5%. So it's quite cheap. So people can now access this funding. We started at a pilot project in Kaduna, FCT, and Oyo, these 3 states, where people can get up between 2.5 and 5 million as working capital to help them support their businesses. And of course, people who want to do that have a procedure to follow. Although we have advertised that already, there's a website you need to follow and apply for it before you can access it. So there are a lot of things we're doing right now to support small businesses. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I think you've given us in just a few minutes highlights of what Smiden is doing. I've gone through the questions and I have 1 or 2. I think you've touched on most of them. A lot of the questions were around how is Smiden helping young people in Nigeria? What can Smiden do to assist my business? I think what would be good would be if we can have the website put in the chat box or in the comment box and any contact numbers. With respect to the particular question, I think it was from Olubumi in Ota, Ogun State. And she had said that they had signed up for a partnership with Smiden and had gotten no response. So they had wanted to know, how do they follow up when they sign up for all of these things and they register and they don't get any feedback? What are the next steps? What can be done? Who can they interact with? Thank you.
All right. I'm assuming that a memorandum of understanding has been signed. If it is so, before you sign an MOU with the agency, there will be official meetings, there will be technical meetings where every contact is given, every member of the team from Smiden interacts with the member of the team from our partner. So everybody knows everything, what the responsibility of the agency, the responsibility of the partners, and so on and so on. So we know everything. So if an MOU is signed, we also develop what we call a work plan to tell us exactly in the next 1 month, what are we going to be achieving? In the next 2 months, what we're going to be achieving. So if we're not able to achieve it for whatever reason, it is something that our partners and us will now sit down and decide and take a decision on what is happening, what can be done to correct it, so that the partnership will be on a seamless thing, you know. So if the person is telling us that he has a partnership, maybe the partnership has not been concretized. I mean, concretized enough to be able to achieve direct contact with us. But if it's still in the works, then what we can do is let the person get back to me through. Okay, I can give you my number right now, right? Hello?
Yes, we're here. So do you want to give us a number that can be contacted? Do you want to write that in the chat box, a general number that you can be contacted on, or somebody from Smiden can be contacted? I think.
Okay. I just put the number on the chat box, you know. But definitely, if we have gotten to the level of MOU, I mean, there should be no need of talking about contact not being implementable and so on and so forth. I mean, once you get into MOU, everything is clear for implementation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. We'll just move on to some of the other questions. And if there's anyone from relating to Smiden that comes again, we'll pick it up. I see that she had mentioned that it was regarding a partnership form to extend collaboration, but since you're putting up numbers there, we would then ask, specifically, is there any project that Smiden is working on, a program regarding youth and entrepreneurship in Lagos Island specifically? And secondly, is there a link that you can share with us as well when you're putting the numbers? So I don't know if you can speak to Lagos and any Smiden youth and entrepreneurship activities happening in Lagos State.
Okay, all right. Right now, remember I talked about the National Business Skills Development Initiative, the one we started in the Northwest about 2 weeks ago. We are going to go to all the states in the Federation. In fact, by next week, we'll be going to all the states in the North Central region. And then we'll be taking it after the North Central, we'll go to Northeast, from Northeast, then we'll go to the South. And of course, Southwest will be the first. So we're going to all the local governments in the Southwest. So which means Lagos State and the local governments will be covered. So, and of course, what we do is once we want to come, our state officers will know to help us mobilize the local people. Secondly, it's always in the news that we are coming, we're going to do this in this venue. And then the participants are also gotten through partnership with all stakeholders in the state government, cultural associations, traditional rulers, and so on, who support in the build-up to the participants in the program. And of course, for this program, we're going to Lagos, Southwest and Lagos State. We're going to have about 145 participants. And this one will be distributed equitably through all the local governments, all the trade associations, and all relevant stakeholders. So as soon as we're ready to go to come to Lagos State, everybody will know. And of course, the program we're running on this National Business Skills Development Initiative includes entrepreneurship training, includes vocational training, and then empowerment with equipment. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. I think that a lot of the questions relating to Smiden will be answered with the website and with the telephone number. So I would just like to go into other questions, because I think you've described what activities Smiden has to offer on a very high level in a very detailed manner. So I think that that's sufficient for now. So if you just share information in the chat box, in the Q&A, the telephone numbers, the websites, I think that would be sufficient for now, unless we get another big questions. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes. The next question is open to the floor. So please, any of the panelists can feel free to answer. And it's a very practical one. It has to do with personal integrity. And the question is thus: what role does personal integrity play in growing one's enterprise as an entrepreneur? So what role does personal integrity play? Mrs. Adeyemi, Mrs. Baramosi, and Otumba, and also Sir from Smiden. I hope you all heard the question. Okay, I think Mr. I think I saw that you wanted to answer. Please go ahead, Mr. Adeyemi.
Okay, so I think the easiest way for me to answer that question is there's an adage that I don't even know where I heard it from, but it's sort of one of the things that I live by. And it says, above all, act with integrity. Do you understand? And I think that everything you do as a person, as a business, as an institution, as an organization, your word has to be your bond, because that's the only thing that you can hold there and firm. And if we think on matters around building a sustainable business and all of that, part of the reasons why some businesses die is because people cannot hold the business to what they've committed to doing at a minimum with that. And if we're talking about even the kind of society we want to build, the kind of society we want to live, it really is on the foundational tenet of integrity, making sure that we live above board, regardless of the situation, regardless of the environment, regardless of whatever the circumstances are. So that's why integrity can never be in question. As a person, as business, it should never be in question. And so even for us, in our programs that we do, all our programs, there's a class around ethics and integrity, because we believe and we know for sure that we need to have individuals and business leaders that act with integrity. So that's my response to the question.
Thank you very much, madam. Does any of the other speakers want to respond on this matter? Do you have anything to add?
I can jump in and quickly add something, even though I think that Mrs. Adeyemi, I mean, she was so spot on. And it's funny because me and her had lunch a few weeks ago, and I think this is one of the things that we were talking about, just the fact that in Nigeria, we just need to do better, as citizens. Many of us complain about the government, many of us complain about so many things, but if we think about it, the government is made up of people, and we, all of us here, are all the people. If you do your business with integrity, when you get to higher positions, or when your business starts to grow extensively, it will be a culture, it would be a lifestyle for you. And so doing business with integrity is a no-brainer. And I'm glad that she mentioned that they've got a program on that. So maybe they can post some more information about that so that those that need more about that can actually sign up for the program. But doing business with integrity is a no-brainer. Just what you say that you will do it and do it well. And that is really how you become a successful business. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. We see a lot of questions here about LCCI and taking advantage of the benefits of LCCI for entrepreneurs. I don't know if Otumba or Mrs. Daramola or Mrs. Olonio can just speak for 1 or 2 minutes on the benefits of LCCI for entrepreneurs, young small business owners, and what the benefits of membership or the association is for them. Is there anybody who's able to speak to this, please? Because it's a recurring question. Otumba, are you there? Or Mrs. Olonio or Mrs. Daramola, is anybody able to speak to us about LCCI generally?
Concerning the entrepreneurship, I know we have the alumni group, which trains the youth on how to become entrepreneurs. And they have a training program which consists of both theory and practical. And they are also attached to mentors to mentor them to set up their own business and how to keep proper records and documentation. And that is actually a purview of Mrs. Oloniyo. I think they have it as an annual event, which normally starts off maybe around March. And they have about 2-3 months classroom training, after which they are attached to mentors to guide them on the practical side of running a day-to-day business activities. And after which they now write a report, and then they qualify and pass out. And then they are now advised to join the mentoring alumni. From there, their progresses are assessed. And from there, they also, because they become the junior LCCI members, By the time their businesses grow, they can then be converted into the mainline LCCI membership group. So we have them as a group, we have them as alumni, and I think we have them as trainees. So Mrs. Oloniyo, if you are around, please give more light into what you do.
Thank you so much, Ma. You have said it all. That's the annual mentoring program she's been trying to, she spoke about, and it's for young entrepreneurs who are just, startup businesses and what have you. So they joined the mentoring program, which is a corporate social responsibility of the chamber, because the amount we charge them is really very meager, very just commitment fee to start with. And just as she said, they run through this program for a year, after which they graduate. From the month of March, the workshop sessions, personal and business development sessions, trainings take place, and we use facilitators. We take them from membership as well as from highly successful business or organizations, and thereafter, about 3 months into the training sections, they are matched with successful business operators who mentor them, take them through, put them on track so that they know what to do at every point, and are able to wade through the various tide and challenges in the business environment. So that's just it. And thereafter, like she said, they join the alumni, they have that. And after which, if they are willing to, because we give them, an easy means of getting into the mainstream of the chamber. We don't get them to pay all the monies, they have to pay the fees. They just pay, they pay just the annual subscription fee, just as a way of encouraging them. So that's it for the young ones, upcoming business operators.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Oloniyo. Thank you very much, Chairperson Mrs. Daramola. I think with both your answers, no one can say they don't know what to do. From what we've heard, there's training, there's mentoring, and this leads to a reduced cost even in membership. I think Mrs. Adeyemi also has a point or two to make in this regard. Please go ahead, madam.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm also a council member of the LCCI, so I thought that it would be important to also add my voice here. And more importantly, because there are some people on this group who are also not just young people, but who are also SMEs themselves. And so I also want to encourage them to consider membership within the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, beyond just saying you're an LCCI, that you're a young person. Somebody had asked the question around the sector groups that LCCI has, and the agriculture, automobile, construction, education, export, financial services, medical, professional services, real estate. They have women and youth groups. And then there's also an SME sector, which I am a part of, and I wanted to speak about that. So as you can see, there are industry groups for which you can be a part of. And so one of the advice I'll have, some of us belong to associations or groups or bodies that can even help us as a group become members of the LCC, and we should take advantage of that. I know that that's something that we're doing at Faith Foundation. So that's number one. And number two, there are groups beyond just the sector groups. One of the advantages rather of the sector groups is that you get involved in conversations, policies and programs around your sectors and value chain. And almost the idea really is for you to become like a first observer. So when there are programs, information, news, policy changes, policy introductions, bills, and all of that that are happening, you get that insight. And it's always very important. We know how regulatory information as businesses, particularly as small businesses, do not always come in time, but when they come, they can be very punitive. And so the idea really behind the sector working groups in LCCI is to provide the membership with the information from a sector level and value chain, so that you also get opportunities that are available. And then even within the SME group itself is also to focus around things that, that concern people who run micro, small, and medium enterprise groups to itself. So access to market opportunities. We all know that the chamber does the largest trade fair, really, I think in West Africa, even the region. And one of the opportunities that they've made available is discounted rates for members to also exhibit at the trade fair. So there are quite a lot of opportunities. It can be, so I want to just say that even beyond just the young group, even just as a member, and there's a lower category that one can take advantage of. I'm going to put an email and a few numbers for people to call if they're interested in seeking membership with the LCCI, for them to follow up, and also the website link. So I thought it would be important to also share that. Thank you. You're on mute, please.
Oh, thank you very much. I said, thank you very much, Mrs. Adeyemi. I think we now have a more complete answer, and would appreciate.
I think our moderator's internet has a problem. Mrs. Daramola?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I was saying that our moderator, our internet is down.
Yes, we can see she's not speaking. Okay, Mrs. Olonio, can you try her on phone?
Okay, ma, I'll do that.
Let us know what's going on so that we can.
Hello?
Hello? Okay,
yes,
she's back.
Yes, I was logged off temporarily. I'm not sure what happened. Do accept my apologies. I'd asked a question about tertiary institutions. I don't know if you heard that, if there was any connection between the LCCI or any tertiary institutions in Lagos State.
Tertiary institution in Lagos State. In Lagos State, do we have any? I think currently, I'm not sure if we have a direct connection with any institution in Lagos State, but we have a good relationship with the state government on its own. And I think of about 2 weeks ago, there was a request that the LCCI should assist their vocational training center to come up with a more robust and educative training program. And that we are currently undergoing at best. But I think the LCCI has a direct and good relationship with state government, so that anytime they call our attention for any need or any assistance, we are always willing to collaborate with them and partner with them for their own organized activities. And also, likewise, if we have any, we also seek their assistance where necessary. So it's a mutual relationship between us and the state government.
Thank you for that answer, madam. I just wanted to state that the contact.
Yeah, okay, maybe let me come here. I think at the trade fair, we have a good partnership with the Lagos state government. They also participate in the trade fair. They are part of our major sponsors, and they even annually, they give us the moderator. They donate the moderator to us for the trade fair period and activities. So that shows part of the working relationship, because they know the Lagos State Trade Fair, which is an international trade fair, also is advantageous to the state government. It gives them that cloud of recognition and advertisement. So it's a joint relationship and partnership. We expect the presidency to declare the trade fair open. It is usually the state government that declares it closed. And it's always a loud and prestigious closing ceremony. So.
Thank you very much, madam. I think it's clear that there's a good relationship between LCCI and Lagos State on multiple fronts.
Yes, there is.
With regard to contact details, because we keep getting recurring questions, please, everybody look to the chat and Q&A sections There's a contact number for Smiden contact Mrs. Regina Bamayi and her telephone number. There's also email addresses. There's also websites that have been posted by the director in Smiden, and also with regard to LCCI that have been posted by Mrs. Adeyemi. Please, may I encourage you to go to the chat group and copy those messages so that you will have access and be able to answer and ask any questions regarding LCCI membership, any questions regarding Smiden and relationships with Smiden that can be formed. We're just going to round up. I'm going to take one or two more questions. The last one, maybe the last one question, because we are indeed pressed for time, and then we'll close this session. So if you have any last questions or questions that have not been addressed, may I please request that you put it again in the Q&A box and we'll endeavor to answer. With regards to fees and commitment fees for membership and for mentoring program, please use the contact that Mrs. Adeyemi has shared. That contact is able to answer all questions on fees, all questions on joining, all questions on opportunities from the LCCI perspective. For Smeden, the other contact of Ms. Regina is also able to answer any questions that you may have. Okay. With regards to the recording and access to the slides, may I please request that you contact Mrs. Olaniyan. She's going to be able to provide the slides that have been shared. Mrs. Olaniyan, I hope you're still there. Can you please share what email address they're meant to send emails to?
Okay, madam, I'll do that right away.
I think that's Mrs. Olaniyan. Olaniyan, not Olaniyan.
Sorry, Mrs. Olaniyan, please.
Yes, yes.
So would you share that on the group, because we keep having those questions, so people can contact you to get the slides or information about the sessions that we had today, because they have been very, very helpful.
Okay, I'll do that right away, madam. Thank you.
Okay, I would just check for final questions, and if there's no new questions, I would like to say thank you very much for this opportunity to moderate and to participate. I would like to hand over now to Mrs. Daramola for a vote of thanks. It has truly been a very insightful conversation. Our panelists have been very, very engaging, and I've really enjoyed moderating the session. Mrs. Daramola, please go ahead.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. May I stand on all existing protocols in order not to waste our time further? And I think we've enjoyed the past 2 hours of fruitful discussion and deliberation and question and answers. I think it is a privilege for me and a great honor and joy to have to extend a vote of thanks to all those who have contributed in one way or the other to make this event a success. And I think it's a big success, actually. I want to, on behalf of the president of the chambers, of the Lagos State Chambers of Commerce and Industry, Mrs. Tokita Mabogunje, and the DG, Dr. Alumuna, and on behalf of members of the Business Education Services and Training Unit of LCCI, I want to extend our hearty gratitude to our keynote speaker, Dr. Diko Umaru Rada, the Director General of the Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria, Smiden, and all our discussants for your excellent presentations, which made this summit very meaningful, insightful, and interesting. And I think I can realize that it was a real exchange of ideas, so that there was no dull moment at all throughout. You have all done tremendously well, and we express deep appreciation for the great task delivered with high professionalism. You have inspired us with your, sorry, let me put on my glasses, contributions. I am sure that the participants have benefited by participating in this summit today. To our amiable and energetic moderator, Mrs. Joke Odecha, we appreciate you and how you have been able to carry on and facilitated and guided the discussion of both the discussants and the participants of today in a professional way. And I think it has been very rewarding to all of us. To the president of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, we want to thank her for giving us the opportunity to have this program for today and for our opening remark, which jumpstarts the activity for the day. I also wish to thank the Secretariat led by the Director General, Dr. Chinyere Almona, FCA, for their unwavering efforts, which had added another feather to the cap of the chambers. Their vision, their motivation, and dedication culminated in the success of today's event. I also want to appreciate the Summit Committee for their tireless efforts in putting together this event for today. I'm sure they've had a lot of sleepless nights, questions and answers running here and there, arguing, disagreements, and whatever to agree to have this function for today. We pray that the Lord will continue to lift up all of us and their businesses to greater heights. And finally, to the participants, because without the participants, this function for today will not have been that successful. Our wonderful audience and participants who stood by us throughout and asked meaningful questions to assist us to improve on what we have offered for today. They stood in to the end of the exercise. It is an indication of your commitment and resilience to establish your own enterprises and to become entrepreneurs for the future. And that will definitely contribute more to the economic growth of Nigeria. Once again, I thank you all for your cordial cooperation, for your audience, and for giving us time to participate in this summit. And I hope and I plead that when next we call on you, you will honor us by your presence, and you will seize this opportunity of coming to attend this summit today to consider joining the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, which is the oldest chambers in the country. I think we're about 135 or 136 years old now. So the young should join the old to make the economic growth of Nigeria more successful. So our moderator, I don't mind extending our form to you. You will have a membership form so that you can become part of us. So we'll be able to see more of your face. And also, Mrs. Badamosi, I thank you all once again. I appreciate you and I wish you all safe journey back to your various destinations. Thank you and thank you and thank you. My humble self, my name is Mrs. Bamideleda Ramola, FCA, Vice President of Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Thank you. And I think on that note, we are saying thank you and goodbye, and God bless all of us.
Thank you very much, Mrs.
Thank you,
Thank you, madam. Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Adeyemi, for the
Thank you,
membership
everybody.
drive.
Thank you so much.
I will recommend, I
Thank you
will
so
report
much.
that to the council, that you did a good job today in the membership drive.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you, Mrs. Badamos. Thank you, Mrs. Adashi.
Lagos
Thank
Chamber of
you,
Commerce and Industry.
Otumba
Right?
Olubade.
We guarantee the
And
promotion
thank you all the participants. I
of
wish all of us well. Have a lovely day.
that will
The
help your
rest of the day, enjoy your
founded
day.
with 2,500 corporate members. We offer the best networking platform for business and profitability. Come talk to us today on how to become a member of the foremost Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Nigeria and Sub-Saharan Africa. For more information, please visit our corporate headquarters at Commerce House, 1 Idowu Taylor Street, Victoria Island, Lagos, or visit our website on www.lagoschamber.com to learn more. LCCI, giving your business a voice.